It's okay. Hello, everyone. John Caswell and Gay Caswell here. If you've had any tough times, it's time to do this. When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged, thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Are you ever burdened with a load of care? Does the cross seem heavy you are called to bear? Count your many blessings, every doubt will fly, and you will keep singing as the days go by. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. So amid the conflict, whether great or small, do not be discouraged, God is over all. Count your many blessings, angels will attend, help and comfort give you to your journey's end. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. All right. We have many blessings. And I'm going to pass this program off to one of my greatest blessings.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Caswell, for various reasons. I want to talk about what's left. We still have a lot of dignity and kindness in Canada. We still have people who care and who know what's going on. Many, many people who you will not see at the bandshell, will you not see at the marching beside the legislature, are very concerned about Canada right now. They believe that a lot of these restrictions are encouraging people to buckle under to absurd regulations, to live in fear. And we had a practice doing this through the ridiculous global warming scare. Remember that one? Remember we were all supposed to be scared every time we had a supposed warm spell, and if we didn't have a warm spell, we were supposed to be scared because pretty soon there's going to be a warm spell after the cold snap, and it went on, and we had departments and still have departments of government involved in dealing with global warming. That was just a precursor of this latest fear of COVID-19. And yet all these things are covering up real things to be fearful about. We are very concerned, and you should be very concerned about the serious death, the serious push into killing in our hospitals and elsewhere. People aren't dying left and right of COVID. They are dying because our hospitals are full of the death mentality. thanks to Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau loves death. Justin Trudeau thinks there's nothing better than helping people die. Helping people die through suicide, euthanasia, whatever it is, as long as they're dying, that's fine with him. You might call him, he's the Prime Minister of death. And what are we doing about it? We're talking about COVID-19 and masks and on and on and on, and not dealing with the real issue. In the Choose Life News, Alex Schadenberg wrote an article that there are far too many so-called deaths of COVID-19, that people are pushing euthanasia deaths under the guise of COVID-19. And he gives a very good article about that and evidence about that. That's Alex Schadenberg in the Euthanasia Coalition. Euthanasia Prevention Coalition.
Yep. EPC.
EPC, and this article was written in Choose Life News. We recommend both publications. But we have to deal with the death push, and everywhere, whatever we talk about, we end up with the death push. People aren't allowed to be treated with or treat themselves and control alcoholism. They're supposed to die. People aren't allowed to have good Medicare for diabetes. They're supposed to die, and on and on. And Mark Friesen is very concerned that in other countries, in Europe, elsewhere, there's massive demonstrations because they know what fascism is like. They know what Committee Public of Safety really means. That was a euphemism for the guillotine, by the way. And we have to, and so they know what can happen, but Canadians are used to doing things well and believing in the best. It's a good solution to believe in the best, but let's be realistic. People are being killed in our hospitals. There are killers who used to be doctors. Now they're killers, serial killers. And our rights are being eroded constantly, one of which is our freedom to religion, freedom to worship in public, freedom of assembly. All of those are innate natural rights that people have. They're not because somebody wrote a constitution, or it's because God gave us these rights. They're called natural law. And so there's some things that you can't change. You can't change the evil of suicide. You can't change the evil of murder. You can't change the evil of ignoring people and refusing to give people justice. That's innately inside of us. It was God-given. And if it's not God-given, where do we get these so-called foolish ideas of freedom? We got them because God put them in our hearts. We know that murder is right because of natural law.
It's wrong.
Yes, murder, sorry, thank you for correcting me. Murder is wrong because of natural law. There is something that in our being that calls out for justice. And if you're not a Bible reader, start. And if you're worried about justice, read Isaiah. Constantly, Isaiah and the prophets cry out for justice. They cry out for mercy and they cry out for justice. It's not built in us. Just happens that we love that we want justice. We want justice for people who've been murdered. We want justice for people who live under tyranny. We want justice for people who've been lied to, who've been manipulated, who live under fear. We used to understand that that was a bad thing, and when it was happening in the Soviet Union, but we've forgotten. People like Mark Friesen are concerned that we're not crying out, but remember, our climate is a lot harsher than Vienna or France, and they know things that we don't know. They know about communism and fascism, and they look exactly the same because they are. So we encourage you to speak out any way you can, and don't think you're the only person who has these views. There's far, far more people who are concerned about freedom than you'll see on the streets at 30 below. And go to Mass and demand to be allowed to go to Mass without a body count of how many people it is. So worship God and fight for freedom.
Okay. Thank you, my dear. Yes, well said. And we'll see you tomorrow. Let's just say a closing prayer. God our Father, guide us through this time. Help us to be courageous, stand up for the faith, and stand up for each other. To love God and to love our neighbor. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.